of the Heart for Christmas devotion series. Today we're going to be reading from Galatians 4:4-7. So this is what it says. But when the set time had fully come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Because you are his sons, God sent the Spirit of the Son into our hearts, the Spirit who calls out, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but God's child. And since you are his child, God has made you also an heir. So Paul is speaking to the Galatians and brings up this Christmas story of Jesus being born of a virgin. And the time had fully come. And so for those under the bondage of the law at the time and years before, it might have seemed like this is late. Jesus has come late to the story. But no, he came at a point in time, and at this point there was no more waiting. He had arrived. And so God sent his Son, born of a woman, which is probably the most human possible way for him to come to this earth. And his purpose was to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Now, when it comes to the law, we, yourself, myself, we have all failed the law miserably. And even back in the day, everyone failed the law miserably. And we have all fallen short of the glory of God. And so I know sometimes people may say, you know what, but I'm a good person. Maybe I mess up here and there, but you know, who doesn't? And I do a lot of good things. You know, I volunteer at this place. I help out at my church. I donate millions. So yeah, those are, you know, quote unquote, all good deeds, but they still fall short of the standard, which is Jesus. And even if, say for instance, we all sin, and we're judged based off of this sin. So if, you know, we're going to say court and we commit a sin, so let's say in this case we'll do an extreme example, murder. You know, if we're on trial, we can't tell the judge, you know, judge, you know, I'm sorry I murdered someone, but I helped, I sang in the Christmas choir at my church. I helped with like the kids, I volunteered, I did all these different things. And the judge isn't going to dismiss your case. You know, like, oh, you know what, you're right. You know, this cancels out what you did wrong. No, they're judging you based off what you did wrong and what the sentence, the penalty of that is. And there is a consequence of it. And you and I, we have a consequence. We have a sentence to serve as a result of our sin. And this would be in hell. And so some might say, you know, that's harsh. Like, why would you say that? Or why would you tell me that, you know, I deserve to go to hell? Because it's the truth. We have all sinned, and the penalty is death. But we also need to know like the bad news in order to know that the good news, the other side of the story, that yes, even though we deserve death, Jesus came to redeem all of us under this law. And he paid the price. He paid the sentence and did time for us so that we didn't have to go to death, and we can be and join him. And so even though he paid for us, at this point, actually, we're not even slaves. Instead, he elevates us to sons via adoption. And back in this time, actually, if you look at Paul's time, Romans, when they were adopted, they actually had absolute equal privileges and status with other members of the family. So they're not even seen as less than. They have all the opportunities as, say, like a natural born son would have had. And this is reiterated in verses 6 and 7, where Bible specifically states that we are now children of God. So again, just Jesus loved us so much that he died for us, even in our sin. And I think that's why we need to recognize we truly need his divine intervention. We can't really do life successfully on our own. And I think once we see, you know, how much we fail or come short of, that we really need God's grace to turn that around. And so, yeah, I think just one thing I want you guys to take away is that, you know, one day we'll pass away, and we don't know when that is. I know some of us who are maybe a little bit younger think we have a whole lifetime ahead of us, but we don't know when our last day is. It could be tomorrow. It could be, you know, maybe 50 years, 70 years, who knows? Only God knows. But I pray that your heart is ready and that you know that today is the day of salvation. There is no time like the present to come to the Lord.